Hey guys, Teresa here. Welcome back to Lost My Thread. Today I'm going to be talking you through everything I sewed in the month of June. First of all, I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel so far. I have seen a recent little boost in my subscriber numbers. That's not what this channel's about. That's not why I'm doing these videos, but it really just feels great to know that there are people out there who are enjoying my videos and who want to see more. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, you might want to think about subscribing if you enjoyed today's video, but let me just get on with the sewing stuff. The first thing I'm going to tell you about I can't show you, but it's because I've given it away as a gift. So Mom, if you're watching this and you haven't gotten your birthday present from me, please turn this off and watch it again after you've gotten my present. If you're not my mom, which is going to be probably everyone watching, or at least most of you watching, I made my mom the same sweatshirt that I'm wearing right now. So I can show you this one, but I can't show you the real deal because it is currently en route to the US to get to my mom, hopefully in time for her birthday. But this is the toaster sweater by Sew House 7. It's made in a cotton interlock fabric that I got from Guthrie and Ghani. I'll come up so you can hopefully see the color. It's apricot color, it's marled, so it's got a bit of a pinky and orangey and yellowy tones all in there, which I really love. It is really soft, comfortable fabric as well. I think it's such a good summery layer because it's not too thick and fleecy and warm, but it's just cozy. And it's got this lovely neckline. I mean, that's the main thing that you notice about this sweater to begin with anyway. The neckline, I feel it feels cozy around the neck, but it's not too like super clingy. So I feel like it's really comfortable. It's a nice long sleeve. It's got a high-low hem, as you can see. It's slightly cropped, I would say, in the front, and it's got this nice side slit as well. Really nice details on this one. I had actually debated making this for my mom for her birthday, and I'd said to my husband, when we talk to my mom, because we Skype every week, when we talk to my mom, I'm going to wear this sweatshirt, this is after I just finished it, and just kind of ask some questions around it, maybe talk about my sweatshirt and how much I like it, see what she thinks, because I made another toaster sweater in the winter and she really liked it and she made a point to say how much she liked it, but I wouldn't make her a winter sweatshirt right now. She lives in Chicago. It is hot, hot, hot in the summer. She's not gonna want a warm, cozy sweatshirt, but this one is a good weight that I feel like in a cold evening or cooler evening, she would definitely get some wear out of it. So I went on the little video call with my mom, and literally the first thing she said was, "I love your sweatshirt. Did you make that?" And I told her I did, of course, and I was talking to her about the fabric and what it was and how much I liked it. I had actually thought that I might make her a different color because I felt like this color I like on me, but her I wouldn't necessarily put in this color. But she specifically said, "I love the color of that, I would buy that, but I would want it a little bit longer." And I'm not entirely sure if she may have been sort of sneakily planting some hints that she wanted me to make one for her. Genuinely not sure if she was just saying, oh, if I happened to get one of those or if I saw that in a shop, I'd prefer it to be a bit longer. I don't know, but there was no way I was going to pass up the opportunity to go ahead and make her the same sweatshirt. But I did lengthen it by 3 inches, so it's a little bit longer for her. She's also shorter than me by a couple of inches, so I think it should sit on her hopefully where she wants it. We'll see. Mom, you can tell me once you see this video, if you do see this video, if it turned out to be a good length for you. But I hope she loves it. I think she'll love it, and I know I love the sweatshirt. The next thing I want to tell you about is my Zadie jumpsuit. I know this is one of these things that never shows up well on the hanger. I mean, it's a wrap jumpsuit. You're mostly probably seeing the inside anyway, but I'll show you the fabric up close because the fabric is really what it's all about. Maybe even show you the back. You can probably see a little bit better. This is a wonderful, glorious viscose lawn fabric that I got from the Fabric Godmother. I bought it with the purpose of making this jumpsuit, having made one in a viscose linen that I liked, thinking it'd be nice to have one that's floral and bright and fun because I'd seen so many bright floral Zadie jumpsuits out there in the wild. This is a pattern by Paper Theory that probably most of you are familiar with. Wrap style jumpsuit. It's got a nice wide leg. You get options of different lengths, I believe. I did actually extend it quite a bit because I wanted full length rather than cropped for this particular one. It's got some nice pleats going down the front and the back, though I don't think you can particularly see them in this fabric, but they're there and they do allow a little bit of extra shaping. I actually sit into the measurements for the size 12 on this one, I believe. And I ended up sizing down to a size 8 because there's a lot of ease in this. So just for the record, in case it's helpful for now or later, my high bust is 35 inches, full bust is 38 inches, my waist is 31 inches, and my hips are 42 inches. So I made the size straight 8 out of this. I often have to do FBAs, full bust adjustments, when I'm making things, but this one fits me really well over the bust. It's got a bit of a grown-on sleeve, which I think is a really cute detail. It's a full proper wrap, so it goes, you know, through one side seam, it ties around at the front, and I just think it's super cute. I will say I didn't have quite enough fabric to do everything I wanted with this. It's got a binding around the sort of neckline going down the front. I wasn't sure I'd get away with being able to get that out of the fabric. I did. I managed to do that out of bias binding. The tie managed to be the same as well. The only thing I will say that really kind of caught me out, because I lengthened it quite a bit, I ended up having to skimp on what else I could do, and the pockets actually ended up having to shrink for me to be able to put the whole thing together. I can try to show you. So the pocket itself is actually visible. The inside of the pocket is visible from outside. It's one of these kind of, I would think it's called a side slit pocket. So it was important that I use the same fabric here, and so I didn't want to use a different kind of fabric, but it is not a very deep pocket. I don't know if you can really get the impression, but I can't even get my whole hand in there. I basically ended up making myself like ready to wear size pockets, which is pretty irritating, but I'm just not going to wear the pockets or use the pockets. And I'd rather have this jumpsuit without pockets than not have the jumpsuit. So I decided to just go ahead with that as it was. This fabric is not available to kind of buy extra for the pockets, and I didn't really want to anyway, to be honest. I wanted to make do with what I had. If I had realized how shallow the pockets were going to be, I probably would have used some other kind of fabric just to extend it a little bit on the inside. But this fabric frays like a bee, and I did not want to undo it, cut it up, potentially destroy the whole jumpsuit for the sake of pockets. I love pockets. I can carry a bag with this one, but I do love how it turned out. The floral is just so fun. I love just the bright colors on the black background, really cool tones as well of the flowers. It's got almost a kind of painterly look, the flowers, and I think this one is just so much fun. I love wearing it. I feel amazing in it. It's been a whole lot of fun to wear, and I know that you're gonna love it too. The next one I want to tell you about is actually a semi-copy of a skirt that I had years ago, a ready-to-wear skirt. So I'll try to show you to give you an idea. It's not a terribly exciting or overly complicated skirt. It's got an elastic waist. It's got two little tiers with a gather in the middle there as well. This, I will say, is going to be a little bit more fancy than what I would have been able to purchase, because there's a little bit of, there's sort of like pin tucks there. And there's a bit of kind of lace detail going on at the top. I wasn't necessarily going to go for the same fabric, but I really love the style of this skirt. I got this from Old Navy. I mean, I want to guess in the early 2000s. It's an old skirt, and I have worn it so much. It's like coming apart at the seams. You can see the elastic is showing, even like, yeah, along like the bottom, the side seams. It's so worn out. It's seen so much love because the style of this one, it's really cute. I feel like I can wear this skirt in situations where I would normally wear like a kind of jean shorts. It looks really cute paired over t-shirts. But I can even also wear something a little bit more dressy. I can wear it with tights. I really love that skirt. And I had thought that I was going to try and make one of my own, just try and basically copy it, because it's, like I said, it's not super complicated. And then I saw a skirt that is designed by the Hemming. Jacqueline Salem, if you're not familiar with her, she's got a YouTube channel. She is over on Instagram, and she made a skirt that looked really very similar, which was basically its tutorial. I wouldn't even say it's a pattern. It's a free tutorial from the Hemming website. I'll put a link to it down below if you want to check it out. And it's basically a walkthrough of how to make a very, very similar skirt. And as soon as I saw hers, Of course I loved it, but also I felt like that is really the skirt that I need to make, because that's basically the skirt that I have worn to death and I need a replacement for. So the versions she made were in tencel twill and they looked so beautiful. The drape of them were so wonderful. And I decided I wanted to go ahead and make a similar kind of fabric version for myself. The first fabric that I got is this. It's a tencel pique that I got from Sister Mintaka. So I know, hopefully you can see it's got this kind of diamondy shape to it. Hopefully you can see it's a pretty similar style. It's obviously got this same elastic waist going around at the top. It's got the tiered gathers, but this one has a really nice detail of this little exposed edge of the gathering, which I think was really cute. And so I wanted to go ahead and stick with that detail, though I obviously could have not bothered and just done it very much like my own skirt that I'm duplicating. This is a different brown, and I think the sections are slightly different. So this is a bit shorter, you know, compared to the one that I've bought, but I do really like the look of them both in general anyway. But yeah, this is a kind of a camel color, which is not a color that I tend to wear a lot. I don't think it's a color that particularly suits my skin tone, but if I was wearing it as my bottom half, I think it would work absolutely fine to wear it paired with other things. And like I said, it was kind of the closest I could get to the fabric that I had before as far as the coloring, because I know that that went with so much and I wore it all the time. So I wanted to go for a brown because I felt like it was going to be more versatile. I also don't have a lot of brown in my wardrobe, so it made sense to have something brown. But this has got some really fun kind of drape to it. I will say that it moves around a lot when I'm wearing it, but it doesn't seem to billow up too much in the wind, which is fantastic. What I would say as far as the tutorial for this pattern, the tutorial is actually not very size inclusive. I mean, I want to basically say that it's got barely any sizes at all. The waist for that pattern, or for the tutorial, only goes up to a 33-inch waist. Yeah, I was just double checking. My waist is 31 inches, but I didn't actually want it to be at my natural waist. I want it to be a bit lower, more kind of around my belly button height, because that's how I wear the other skirt and I really like it. And so when I measure that measurement, it is significantly bigger than the 33 inches, which is their biggest measurement. What I would say though, if you're outside of their size range, like I was for this, you don't have to worry about that, because all you need to do is look at the ratios. So they give you the actual, like, your body measurements, and they give you the finished garment measurements. So you just look at the difference between those two sizes as like a percentage and just do the same on your own body. So what I ended up doing was basically looking and seeing, I think it was maybe like 1 1/4 the size, so bigger plus 1/4, so the same size plus 1/4, if that makes any sense. I'll put a little image up if I feel like I've got that slightly wrong, but basically I was able to work out for myself what measurement I wanted to be able to get the same amount of gathering at the waist. And then similarly the next tier, I think I just went 1.5 times the size, because that's what you typically do for gathers. So I think I just went for that anyway. But I feel like it turned out really well. Like I said, that is more of a guide of how to do the waistband, how to do that exposed ruffle for the gathering. If you feel like you have no idea how to dream up this kind of pattern on your own, it's a really great place to start. But I'm sure many of you could just kind of work out in your own head how to make it. But I love how it turned out. The next one I'm going to show you is a blend, and I can never remember the whole blend, so I've got it written down so I can tell you. This is a modal bamboo viscose tencel twill. I mean, how was I ever going to remember that? But it's basically a blend of lots of lovely, gorgeous, natural fibers, which is really cool. As you can see, it is fabulously vibrant. This bright orange color I'm absolutely loving. I'm so into bright colors this summer. I'm really enjoying it. Really nice and bold. This one moves and drapes so nicely. So it's a bit lighter weight, a lot more kind of a fluid drape than the other one. It's really nice and soft and silky. The color is just so punchy and lovely. Really fun to have this in my wardrobe, and I know that I'm going to be reaching for that one a lot all summer. The next one I'll tell you about is my Blackwood cardigan. So this is a sweatshirt cardigan sweatshirt pattern, which is by Helen's Closet Patterns. I got this fabric from Sister Mintaka. This is a bamboo rib knit jersey. It's the first time I've worked with bamboo rib knit. I think it might be my first bamboo fabric anyway. It's really definitely lovely and soft, but what I like about it as well is that it's not super lightweight. It's like a medium weight. It's got a bit of hang. It's got a little bit of sort of body to it, a bit of bounce as well. But I feel like when I wear it, it really kind of sits on me in a really comfortable way. It's like just a little bit of weight on it. You feel like you're being kind of snuggled up under it. It's really lovely and drapey as well, so it's got a bit of movement to it. Like I said, it's a rib knit. This is a marled, like a light gray marled fabric. The Blackwood cardigan is one that I have made before. I made it previously and wore it all the time. I find that it's one that I really love because it goes with so much. I feel like it's something that can pair up with dressier things like dresses and skirts, but it can also just go with jeans and shorts really well, or jumpsuits. It's super versatile. I feel like this style of this cardigan is very much the kind of thing that slots into my wardrobe really nicely, and I wanted to make one that was a neutral color that I could wear with all kinds of things. So this one I know is going to be worn a lot. The only thing I will say with this fabric, this bamboo jersey, it doesn't have the best recovery. If I really stretch out the sleeves, if I like really pull them up and I pull them down again, they don't really shrink back until I wash them again. So it's something just to bear in mind. I would say they're probably not going to be great for something like leggings, but if it is something like a sweatshirt or a cardigan, something that doesn't need to stretch a lot over you as you're wearing it, then I think it's absolutely fine. The other thing with this one is I had a bit of issues with fabric again. I don't know what's going on with me at the moment. I don't feel like I'm under buying fabric or under ordering the amount that I need, but I seem to be having some difficulties. So for this one, I wanted to go with the View B, which is the shorter view. The first version I made of this was kind of halfway down my thigh. This one's a little bit shorter, and I knew that going in. I ordered this fabric in the amount that it was meant to be for my size, so I'm a size 12. I went for the B cup in this one just because it doesn't need to close over the bust, so I thought I could get away with that one, and it works absolutely fine for an open cardigan. But this fabric, along one of the selvage edges, the rib knit bit, so the ribs of them were very irregular and wobbly, and there was a huge chunk of it, I mean, I don't want to say huge, but maybe like a couple of inches that I just couldn't use. And I really needed that bit of the fabric to be able to make my little neckband that goes around. And because I essentially had to waste that portion of the fabric, I didn't have quite enough to be able to get all the pieces that I was meant to. So what I did to make sure that I could still finish this thing was I opted out of the pockets. I didn't add pockets there. I meant to have little pockets, but honestly, I never used the pockets on my other Blackwood cardigan. They're kind of an odd, like, it's too loose of a cardigan. I wouldn't feel like anything's secure in there, so they're more decorative, so I didn't worry about losing those. The other thing is the neckband is meant to be one continuous band, but I didn't have a long enough strip for that, so I ended up doing one section that basically copies to the shoulder seam just like the actual body of the cardigan does, and then another strip going down the front, and I felt like it wouldn't look unusual or odd. It wouldn't look as neat as it's meant to. But again, I could totally get away with it, and I could manage to make this without having to buy more fabric. For the cuff as well, I ended up having to do two sections for the cuff. It's quite a long piece, the cuff, because it folds over and it's quite a chunky cuff, which I really like, but I had to actually use sort of one half and the other half going along the wrist. All these things won't really make a difference in the final garment. They're totally like, only I know, because I know what the pattern was meant to be. If you bought this cardigan, if you saw this, you'd never think, oh, that's a bit strange that this is cut like this. But I'm just telling you guys because you might find yourself in a situation where you don't have quite enough fabric to make the garment that you're trying to make. But there are ways that you can work around it, adapt the pattern a little bit, and hopefully you can stretch that fabric a bit more to be able to get the garment without having to go out and buy more fabric. The next one I'm going to tell you about, I'm really pretty excited about. It's a dress. So this is the Byrdie button-up dress by Pattern Scout. I can try and show you as much as possible, but essentially it's a shirt dress with a waist tie here. It doesn't have a full collar, it's just like a collar band that goes around. And I have lots that I love about this. I will try and tell you a little bit, but it's got these really fun pin tucks at the front. And it's also got pin tucks at the back of the neckline as well. I've got these really fun buttons. These are from Pigeon Wishes. They are multicolored, really cute buttons. The waist tie is tied on with this little thread chain there, which I think is a really nice, neat way to bring it all together. I made my own short sleeves with a cuff because this was designed to be a long sleeve shirt or shirt dress, but I wanted to make it short sleeve for summer. I shortened it quite a bit as well because it was meant to be quite long. This is made in a really beautiful bright pink. It's actually called watermelon color, which is a linen fabric that came from Rainbow Fabrics Kilburn. So hopefully you can get the color here. It is so vibrant though. It is just beautiful. And when the sunlight comes through it, honestly, like it glows pink. I really love the color of the fabric. I think it's gonna be such a staple. I know I'm gonna wear it a ton. Like I said, I've been really into bright fabrics this summertime. I've been really enjoying wearing really bright, vibrant fabrics. And you don't get any brighter or more vibrant than this one, honestly. But I really am so glad that I went with a solid color as well. I had thought about using more of a patterned fabric, but I feel like it really just lets all those nice details shine. The pin tucks, I will say, I think it's my first time making pin tucks. Don't quote me on that because it's entirely possible that I've forgotten some project somewhere back in the day that I used some pin tucks, but they were really fun to make. I am somebody who can enjoy doing a really simple basic sew that's really quick and easy to sew up, like this toaster sweater, super fast to make. But I also really enjoy those more in-depth projects where there's some more different techniques, or new to me, just something a little bit different and interesting rather than just run of the mill. And so getting to do the pin tucks, getting to, you know, try and get those nice neat measurements, stitching and pressing all along the way, it was really satisfying. I didn't find it difficult to do. I mean, I think like so many things in sewing, if you take your time and you follow the instructions, you can basically sew anything. I honestly feel that. Like, even if you're a beginner, I don't feel like you should put anything that's a bit more tricky or ambitious or has more tasks to it out of your sort of reach, because honestly, I made the most complex things when I was a beginner sewer, and that's how you learn, and that's how you learn to do those things, right? You're never going to know how to do these things from birth. You're going to have to try and figure them out as you go. So I think pin tucks was a good one that for me, I'd never made anything with pin tucks before. It wasn't challenging, I just hadn't gotten around to it, and it was really fun, and I love how it looks. I think it's just such a cool overall design of this dress. This is a dress as well that is made for different bust cup sizes, which means that I don't have to do any fitting. I know it's gonna fit me right out of the bat. I have made a shirt dress or shirt version of this as well. It comes in different versions with or without pin tucks, with a proper collar or not. Long sleeve with a really cute cuff detail on there as well, but I wanted to go with you know, this version with the pin tucks, more pared down and simple for this dress, and I love how it turned out. I made this one in a size 10 C cup, which is where my measurements sit, and I'm really happy with the fit. And those are all of my completed sewing projects, but I do have one more finished object I need to show you, and that is a pair of socks that I knitted. So I knitted these socks. I am a beginner knitter, extremely beginner knitter. I've made a couple of sweaters, which was the first things that I ever made, which turned out absolutely brilliantly. I was amazed by myself. Thought I'd have a go with socks. I cannot believe I made socks. I'm sure to all of you out there who have seen knitted socks, who may have knitted socks yourself, it's no big deal. Calm down, Teresa. But I'm telling you, I am amazed that I managed to knit these, and they look like real socks. It is so wild and so cool. I really love the design of these. There's this really cool, again, if you've knitted socks, this is not going to be amazing to you, but this really cool detail, it's like kind of reinforced at the back of the heel, but on the outside, it's just got this cool kind of ribbed looking effect. The only thing I will say with these, so I ended up making the size that I was supposed to, which is a size large for me. You make the measurement based on the width of your foot, and size large was going to be my size. My ankles are a bit smaller, so maybe I should have kind of sized down at the ankle bit, but I'm not so worried about that. They're definitely fine. The main thing is that they're just a bit short, so the way you decide how long you make them, these I made in magic loop, so I was able to try them on as I went. And once you get to the tip of your pinky toe, you're supposed to then start changing color. So that's when you get to the bit where you start making it the toe color. And it's a certain amount of stitches that you need to get to before you kind of put the end on there. And basically for me, my toes are a different shape, I think, from the way the designers toes are or how they're designed for. So my big toe sticks out quite a bit more than my pinky toe. I have kind of like a diagonal slope to the shape of my foot, and the big toe is longer than the intended length of that section, which means that the whole thing pulls quite a lot, and it's essentially kind of like a size too small. I'll see if I can get away with wearing them. Even if not, I really don't care. I knitted socks and I'm freaking excited about it. I've gone on Instagram and put a little SOS out there in case anyone had any suggestions of ways to lengthen the toe to fit my foot. I've had some awesome suggestions, and I think the biggest thing that I didn't realize you could do, which is so cool, is you can put like a little, I think it was called a rescue stitch, somebody told me, where you can put a row of contrast thread around the sort of whole length of it before you bring on the new toe color. And that way, if the toe doesn't work out, you try a different technique and you don't like it, you can just pull right back to that point, and your rescue stitch is going to keep everything on that piece of yarn. So that way you can just put it back onto your needle and try a different toe style. I hope that makes sense. I'm not that great at explaining knitting because, again, it's not my forte, but I'm really enjoying getting into it, and I love these socks. I need to tell you a little more about them, but it is not in my lingo, my normal kind of lingo, so I've written it down so I can remember. These socks are called the I'm So Basic socks, and they are by Summer Lee Knits, and I made this in a Lang Jawal superwash yarn from Luke London. That's probably all I can tell you. I used 1mm, I think it was, size needles. I have actually sized up to 1.25mm for the next version because I do feel like they're just a tiny bit more snug around the foot than I want them to be. But I knitted socks. It's so cool. I'm really proud of myself, and I have already got the next ones about, I don't know, almost halfway through the next sock, which is super cool. I always like to tell you as well at the end about the things that I'm working on. So I've got two projects that I'm kind of semi in the middle of. One is the Betty dress that I'm making for my Ankara fabric that I got for Ankara Appreciation Week. I'll pop a link up to my sewing plans video because I tell you a bit more about that, but this is the Sew Over It Betty dress, just a classic fit and flare style dress. I have not made one of these kinds of dresses in forever, and I'm remembering why. Getting the fit right is a pain in the butt. I'm not enjoying the whole fitting process, but I'm getting there. I've made one muslin, which I can show you now. I make my muslins out of just really basic, I think this is like a cotton poly blend, but essentially like a plain muslin kind of fabric so that I can just check the fit. I also, I base the whole thing with contrast threads so that I can easily take it out if I need to. The other thing I do is, I think, a useful tip. I stitch up the back, so this is meant to have a zipper in the back, which is how it closes. I actually stitch up the back and I keep one of the sides open. I mark with some pen where the stitch line is, and then I hand baste it closed when I'm going to try it on with a really long, like super long based, just like thread hanging between the stitches. So then I can actually pull it over my head, pull the thread down at the bottom, and it kind of cinches everything up to where the seam is meant to be. If you want to see what I'm talking about, if it's not clear, let me know. I can do a little video of that at some point. But I ended up making the size that was suggested. So my measurements put me in like a size 13, which doesn't exist. There's a 12 and a 14. But mine was like pretty much straight down the line in between the 12 and a 14. So I cut out a 13, and this is said that it's meant to be fitting a B or C cup. So this is a sewing cup size. So that would generally mean that your high bust is 2 or 3 inches smaller than your full bust, and mine is 3 inches smaller than my full bust. So I thought this should work out. It should theoretically fit me really well. Still wanted to do a muslin because I'm not taking any chances with that beautiful Ankara fabric. And sure enough, it definitely does not fit. The biggest issue is the center. So it kind of goes really wide over my shoulders, and there's just too much fabric in here basically for it to sit flat. So I was able to pinch out quite a bit of the center, which then lets it kind of sit where it's meant to. I hope that makes sense. A lot of these things are probably a bit more visual, but I basically found that the upper part of the bodice was definitely too big, which doesn't really surprise me, honestly. I often have to size down in that area and do just a bigger full bust adjustment. So what I ended up doing was, based on how much I took out of here, comparing that to how much I wanted to take out of the whole bodice, I ended up going and cutting out a size 10. I actually having said that, I didn't do a muslin yet. I've actually just traced out a size 10 with I think it's a 3-inch full bust adjustment to be able to fit my bust. And I did a tissue fit of that one. I usually, I sometimes do muslin fitting, sometimes do tissue fitting, depending on what it is. But I felt like the fit of this first one was so off. I didn't want to cut out a whole nother muslin for it to be really wrong again. So I just cut out tissue paper, pinned it together using tissue fitting technique, and it seems good. It seems like it worked. So I'm gonna now make that in muslin, and if that's all good, I can cut out the Ankara fabric. If not, I'll make whatever adjustments I need to make, but I feel like I'm closer for that one. The other one I can tell you about is actually cut out, and this is my Paddy pocket skirt, my other Ankara fabrics mate. I'm trying not to destroy everything. I've got all of the pattern pieces still with it so that I don't lose track. A lot of these pieces look really similar, but you might remember this fabric. If you haven't, it is glorious Ankara fabric. I think this is going to be such a fun skirt. I don't know what my deal is with fabric lately, but I've been running out of fabric left, right, and center for my projects. This skirt was probably the worst, and I realized that I really just did not buy enough of this fabric. I think in my mind I was thinking I should get away, if it's like a longer skirt, 3 meters should probably be plenty of fabric from what I need for this. But this fabric you buy in yards, which I know I'm American, I bought fabric in yards for years, but I've been in meters for a while, and you get more in a meter than you do in a yard, and I lose track of what a difference there is, honestly. This is also quite a narrow fabric. It's 45 inches wide. So when I looked at what's recommended for this pattern, I was actually supposed to buy 4 yards of this fabric with this width, and I only had 3 yards to work with. But I was determined to make it work because I really wanted this skirt in this fabric. And I did make it work. Couple of things I did, rather than cutting on the straight grain along the length of it, I cut it out on the cross grain. And some of the pieces I did like super Tetris kind of style shaping, where one kind of fanned out this way and the other one fanned out that way. And I managed to get them both on sort of cutting into the angles of each other so that it all fit like really just so. I had so little of this fabric left over, honestly. It was really hilarious. I was not able to get every single piece out of this fabric, and I sort of realized that going in, and I decided what I was going to do in a different fabric that wouldn't be important, that wouldn't be visible on the outside. So the fabric that I decided to use for the non-visible on the outside bit is actually probably familiar to all of you just now. It is the same linen fabric that I used to make my dress that I made a minute ago I showed you. And I do feel like it goes, it's definitely in the same sort of avenue of colors. I feel like they're both really bright and they're a similar weight actually. So I feel like it should work really well. But the pink I'm going to be using on the facing. So there's a hem facing around the bottom, and there's also a pocket facing. So none of these things are going to be visible on the outside, but I think it'll be kind of fun to have that little hem on the inside of the hem down at the bottom as well. So I do just feel like on the whole, like bold, bright colors seem to be my thing. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but it's been really fun to make these things and I've been loving wearing them. I hope you've all been getting some sewing done, crafting done, or just doing what you feel like. If you don't feel like sewing, that's all good. Watch the sewing videos. I completely relate. I can be in that headspace sometime as well. If you've ever been in that position where you have run out of fabric or not had quite enough and had to make do with doing some kind of mashing in a different kind of a fabric or just making it work by making adjustments, let me know what you've done, because it's really fun to hear other people's stories. I know it's all super relatable. We've all been there in that kind of position, and you know, with a little bit of creativity we can usually make it work. Thank you as always for watching, and thank you for making it right here to the end. If you are not already subscribed to my channel and you like what you saw today, do think about hitting that subscribe button. Give me a like as well if you enjoyed the video so that I know that you liked it, and even better, give me a little comment down below so that I know that you're out there. Interacting with you guys in my comments is one of my favorite things about the channel, and I will hopefully see you all again very soon. Bye!